I'm 42, and for a while I thought I had finally reached a place in life where stability wasn't just a dream. My divorce had been nearly 10 years ago, and the years that followed were nothing but hard work, sacrifice, and slow rebuilding. I started a construction company from the ground up with nothing but a loan and my own sweat. I lived carefully, hustled, and put every ounce of myself into that business until it grew into something respectable. 3 years back, I reached a milestone I never thought I'd see. I bought the house I had always pictured owning. Not a palace, not some flashy status symbol, but a modern, spacious home that was fully paid off and mine. To me, it wasn't just a house. It was the proof of every hour, every late night, every risk that finally paid off. 2 years ago, I met Lisa. She was 39, warm, funny, stylish, at least at first. She seemed nothing like my ex. She had a part-time role at an interior design firm, a grown daughter named Maya who was 20, and she made it clear from the beginning she was serious about building a future together. For a while, everything seemed fine. Lisa loved hosting parties at my place. She would gush about how beautiful the house was, how well decorated, as if it were her personal stage to show off. Soon enough, Maya started coming around more often, spending weekends there. At first, I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe she was just close to her mom, and this was a way of building a blended family. But then the comments started. Maya would say things like, "Mom deserves to live in a place like this after all she's been through. Wouldn't it make more sense if you both just combined everything for the future? Or, if you love her, you should want to make sure she's secure." I brushed it off at first, chalking it up to a daughter who wanted her mom to be taken care of. But the pressure grew, little remark after little remark, always about money, property, security. Then one evening, Lisa sat me down to talk about a prenup. I wasn't against it. If anything, I expected it. With what I've built, it only made sense to protect myself, and for her to protect herself too. But what she handed me wasn't a prenup. It was daylight robbery written on paper. According to this document, if we divorced, she would walk away with half of my company. My house would no longer belong to me alone, but would automatically be placed under both our names. She would gain full access to my retirement accounts. It was so outrageous that at first I laughed, thinking she was trying to play some kind of joke. But no, she was dead serious. Before I could even process it, Maya chimed in from across the kitchen island. Without hesitation, she said, "You're being selfish. My mom deserves security after everything men have put her through. You should want to take care of her." My blood pressure shot through the roof. I turned to her and asked, "And what exactly entitles you, or your mom, to half of everything I've worked for my entire life?" She just rolled her eyes like I was some fool missing the obvious. Lisa didn't defend me. She didn't tell her daughter to stop. She just sat there in silence. And that silence was louder than any answer. That's when it all clicked. This wasn't about love. This wasn't about partnership. I was nothing more than a target to them, a prize to be stripped, divided, and enjoyed. I barely slept that night. My mind raced, so I went back through our messages, our history. Slowly, I began to see all the little patterns I had ignored. Lisa had gradually pulled back from her own work life. She'd been moving more of her belongings into my house, piece by piece, without ever asking. She'd been pushing me to step back from my business, telling me I deserved more downtime and that she could handle things. Then I went digging on her social media, scrolling back to posts from before we met. That was the gut punch. There were multiple posts where she talked about how she deserved a man who could give her the life she wanted, how men were only useful if they provided. And then the one that stopped me cold. A picture of her and Maya together with the caption, "One day we'll have everything we deserve. Men owe us that much." That was when I knew. They hadn't stumbled into me by accident. I was a target. Nothing more. So I played along. For 2 weeks, I acted as if nothing was wrong. I smiled, I laughed, I went to dinners, I let them think I was mulling it over. Behind closed doors, though, I went to my lawyer. I rewrote my will. I put my business into a trust so it couldn't be touched. I double-checked the deed to my house to make sure it was airtight. I stopped paying for extras for them and slowly cut off any open doors they might try to walk through. Finally, the night came when I decided to end it. We were out at dinner. And Lisa once again raised the prenup. As if on cue, Maya jumped in with her usual line, saying that a real man would sign without hesitation if he truly cared. That was it. I put my fork down, looked them both in the eye, and said clearly, a real man doesn't get manipulated into giving away everything he's worked for to a woman and her daughter who see him as nothing but a wallet. I'm not your retirement plan. I'm not your ticket to security. I won't let you drain me dry. Maya's face went red, and she stormed off. Lisa tried to put on tears, insisting I had misunderstood everything. I wasn't having it. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots of her old posts. You planned this, I told her. You and your daughter. But you chose the wrong man. I've built everything I have once already, and I won't let you take it from me. The act dropped instantly. The fake tears disappeared. Her voice turned cold and sharp as she snapped. Fine. You'll regret this. No one else will love you the way I do. I laughed. If this is your idea of love, I'd rather be alone forever. I walked out of that restaurant, blocked her number, and never looked back. The aftermath was messy for her. Mutual friends told me she had been bragging for months that she was set for life once she married me. When word got around about how it really ended, sympathy dried up fast. Even her daughter stopped flaunting their weekends at my house. Meanwhile, I felt nothing but relief. Freedom. Like I had dodged the sharpest blade aimed right at my back. And here's the part one never expected. Just when I thought it was finally over, 2 weeks later a letter from her lawyer showed up at my office. Lisa was trying to claim compensation for the time she invested in the relationship and supposed contributions she had made toward my house and business. I couldn't help but laugh out loud when I read it. Contributions? The only contribution she ever made was pointing out that my kitchen wasn't to her taste. That's when it hit me hardest. Betrayal doesn't always come in the form of cheating. Sometimes it comes dressed up as love, with a smile on its face and a calculator in its hand, waiting for the moment to cash you out. While Lisa and her daughter enjoyed their little wine nights funded by my wallet, I didn't waste time. I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. He skimmed through the letter she'd sent and shook his head. This won't hold up. She has no grounds. It's just an intimidation play to push you into settling. And that's exactly what it was, a scare tactic. Almost immediately, Lisa began flooding my phone with calls and voicemails, crying about how I was abandoning her after all the sacrifices she'd made. Then Maya, her daughter, jumped in with a long-winded text, accusing me of ruining her mother's life, and claiming I was no different than every selfish man who uses women and discards them. The irony of that nearly made me laugh. I followed my lawyer's advice. I didn't respond, didn't argue. I blocked their numbers, blocked their emails, cut off every channel of direct contact. But then, out of nowhere, an official court summons landed in my hands. Lisa had actually filed a civil suit. Her claim? That she was owed equitable compensation for the 2 years we were together. She alleged that she'd helped me expand my business and that her emotional labor entitled her to financial reimbursement. Let me translate that nonsense. She washed some dishes, picked out a lamp for my living room, and lounged in my hot tub while I was working 12-hour days to keep my company running. When the court date arrived, I was ready. Lisa showed up with Maya by her side, both dressed head to toe in black, as if they were mourning at a funeral. Maya wouldn't even look at me, her face set with that smug, self-righteous expression, like victory was already in the bag. Lisa's attorney went on the offensive, trying to paint me as some callous, money-hungry man who used her. He flashed photos of vacations, paid entirely by me, restaurant receipts, again paid by me, and argued that Lisa had transformed my house into a home. My lawyer, cool as ever, dismantled their entire narrative point by point. He presented evidence that I had purchased my house years before meeting Lisa. He pulled out tax records showing my business had been steadily thriving long before she entered the picture. And as for her design work, at most, it amounted to her telling me I should get a new rug. The judge didn't buy a word of it. At one point, he stopped the proceedings and asked Lisa directly, "Ma'am, do you have any financial documents proving you contributed to this man's business or property?" Lisa stumbled and muttered something about supporting me emotionally and Maya encouraging me to take risks. The courtroom went dead silent. Then the judge leaned back and said flatly, Emotional support and encouragement are not compensable financial contributions. Case dismissed. Maya audibly gasped like she'd been slapped across the face. Lisa flushed red with anger, trying to argue, but the gavel struck, and that was it. Done. I walked out of that courtroom standing taller than I had in years. Lisa and Maya stayed behind, looking shattered, their grand scheme publicly exposed for what it really was. A failed attempt to cash out on my hard work. And then came the cherry on top. About a week later, a mutual friend called me and said Lisa had been ranting nonstop, claiming she'd wasted 2 years of her life on me and that men like me should be forced to pay up after taking the best years of a woman's life. Let me put this in perspective. She was 39 years old, with a 20-year-old daughter, chasing me because she thought I was her meal ticket. And somehow, I had supposedly stolen her best years? That's when the realization hit me in full. This wasn't about love. It was never about love. It was about leverage. So I made the smartest decision of my life. I cut them out completely. No revenge plots, no explanations, no emotional back and forth. Just silence. I turned my focus back to my business, reconnected with real friends, and even treated myself to my first real vacation, alone. The peace I felt was unmatched. The house felt lighter without their presence. The constant drain on my finances vanished. And my company thrived because I was no longer bankrolling their endless wants. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for someone to come at me with their hand out. Last I heard, Maya had dropped out of college because Lisa couldn't cover tuition without my financial support. Lisa herself had been forced to move into a smaller apartment. Do I feel guilty? Not for a second. I built my life from the ground up, and if someone wants to share it, they need to bring love, respect, and genuine partnership. Not entitlement, manipulation, or a prenup designed to strip me down. Here's the takeaway. If someone demands half of everything you own before you've even exchanged vows, they're not looking for a marriage, they're looking for a payday. And I'd rather stay single forever than fall into that trap again. And just when I thought it was over, I discovered something even more ridiculous. Maya had secretly been recording me at home, trying to gather evidence that I was financially supporting them, as if we were married. The problem? The recordings backfired. They showed me paying my own bills and even refusing to cover their extra expenses, telling her, "No, I'm not paying for that. Ask your mom." In other words, proof that I wasn't supporting them financially beyond normal dating expenses. When my lawyer found out, he warned them that secretly recording me without consent could land them in legal trouble. And just like that, the calls, the threats, the messages, they all stopped. Silence. They tried everything, love bombing, manipulation, dragging me into court, even spying on me, and every single tactic fell flat. In the end, I walked away with everything I had built, while they were left with nothing but their own greed and bitterness. And to this day, that silence, that freedom, remains the sweetest victory of all.